So Jonathan and I did have a little adventure today. I know you're asking, Fred. We went to New Paltz today to a cafe and played some Daggerheart. And Elise was there, who's the lead RPG designer director for the game. And they had a bunch of little tables and different DMs, and we got to sit at one of the tables and play some Daggerheart. So it was fun. It was kind of fun to not be on the camera
That is
and
awesome.
not be in our
Oh yeah.
studio, play with some random people, made some new friends. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. How's the game? I mean, I've heard great things about it, obviously, but I have not been able to. Is it even out yet, or is it just still in
Yeah, it's
like
out.
It's
beta?
out.
It is. Okay.
It's out. I think it's, sold out most of the time as well.
Okay.
So getting your
That makes
hands on a
sense.
copy is a little difficult. It is a beautiful game. I told Sarah on the way back that if you like role playing and you really want to be in the role playing mood and not necessarily worry so much about mechanics of a game, it is beautiful.
Hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a great experience for us. I was nervous, and just having they had fantastic DMs
They're
at
really good.
at the venue, and they're like their
That's
home
awesome.
DMs, right in New Paltz, New York. They were absolutely phenomenal. And so just like sitting on someone else's table and relaxing and having just a great time with new people was a great experience. So if you can get your hands on a set of Daggerheart, definitely play it. Or I have a set. I have the rules.
It's
Come
actually
up
right
here.
behind them. Yeah.
We'll play.
Yeah.
Nice.
Little shout out to Gunk's Gaming Guild in New Paltz, New
Yeah.
York, for letting us stop by and play some Daggerheart today. It was a lot of fun. It was a good Sunday thing. It was just a lot of
That's
driving.
awesome.
But now we're here.
Yes. That's
Well,
so cool.
we're here, so we might as well welcome our guest today to another episode of The Parking Lot. My name is Sarah, and that is Jonathan. And today we are talking to Fred, and I'm just going to use, I guess, the little intro, maybe bio that you have on your website. I don't know. Do you
Sure.
recall this here? It's the man, the myth, the legend that is Otto. He is an enigma, shrouded in mystery, and dry hopped with the essence of the universe. So thank you so much for joining us today on our podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here. I have to shout out to my friend Mike, who he put his heart and soul in writing that intro.
Yeah, your website
It's
has a lot
amazing.
of good writing in it.
None
Maybe
of which I take credit for.
we should have him do maybe some of our intros, Jonathan, like our official
Yeah, absolutely.
titles and intros for each of our characters. Fred, how's it going? We haven't seen you in a long time. We went to OttoCon this summer, but it's been a while.
It has. I mean, it's been a busy, as I'm sure for you as well, busy summer. It just seems like there's never enough time. And summer's, a lot of my friends and I complain that summer is the time when gaming kind of just dies
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's really hard to get together with people. You have a million different commitments. And fortunately, September's almost here, getting back to the table. Looking forward to that. But it's great seeing you. Yeah. We had a great time this past June, but it's hard to believe that that was what 3 months ago.
I know. I remember like reaching out to you about this con when I found out. I was like, it's in the Hudson Valley. It's not far from us. We have to
Yes,
go. And
yes,
it was like months away and we're
yeah.
planning. And then it was there and we had so much fun. And I think at the time you said you had the most attendance at this past con, right?
We did, yeah. This was our biggest one yet. It's been growing, each year. It's grown leaps and bounds. This year we had a pretty good idea that we were going to have pretty much record attendance, but even kind of with the pre-sales and stuff, we had no idea it was going to be this big. It's definitely the logistics for something when it gets that large, sound being like the main
Hmm.
um issue that we have to deal with. I think is something that we're going to have to address for next year, but these are good problems to have, so I can't
Exactly.
complain.
Exactly. Growing pains. And this is your fourth year,
Yes,
right?
it was. Yes, yeah, the first year, we say fourth year. the first year it was coming out of COVID. I, all of the conventions had been canceled,
Hmm.
and they had been canceled once again. Obviously, 2020 they'd been canceled, but even 2021 they were canceled. 2022, it was starting to, come out of that, and I was like, I need to get back to the table. I need to game with people, and you know, it was really a convention of
Hmm.
friends of friends. So it was very small. I think we had 35, 40 people there at most. But it was great, and everybody loved it. And so we're like, this was fun. Let's open it up to the world, and it's been quite a trip.
Yeah, those are always the nice things. You do something because you love it, and
Yeah.
then if you love it, someone else has to, and then you find all of those other people to join.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we do it. I mean, everybody who puts it on, they're all, my close friends, and they, thankfully my wife is very understanding, and also a huge help.
Yeah.
I mean, she really does all of the logistics, for it. So it's great, but we like doing it. And, as long as people are having fun, we figure we're just going to keep doing it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Now, do you feel like from year one to year four, do you feel like year one you were, you know, taking it in year four it's just like it's going in fast forward, or do you still feel like you're a part of each con and not just presenting it for other people?
So this year was definitely the first time where I felt like I was running around helping present it, I guess. If you I like that term, presenting it. I did run my game at the end of the last session. One of the reasons why I I like running this is I like running for people. I really enjoy being a DM, and I really enjoy, um, you know, doing it for strangers. And I used to run at my local game store pre-COVID. It's something that if I get time again, which unfortunately might not happen ever again, but it's something that I really love doing. So um, I didn't want to get away from that. I think, you know, a lot of my friends are probably next year, they've said, you know what, we don't have to run anymore. We have enough game masters, enough people that want to run stuff that they can step back, they can just manage things. And that's kind of what they want to do, and that's what they like to do. I am always going to run that game if at all possible. And I don't think, we don't look at this as a business, and it's for us, we're trying to sort of cover our costs. It's not really there yet, but we're just trying to cover our costs. It's really meant to be like a not-for-profit
Hmm.
type of thing. And if we grow any bigger than what it's going to be, we'll just have to make it official. Maybe we can do some kind of like charity thing where all the profit goes to charity or something like that. You know, if it gets, but I don't want it to get so big that I can't just enjoy it and actually be part of the convention as a game master, maybe even as a player one of these days. That's just, there are other conventions
Hmm.
that do that do it as a business, and they do it so much better than we could ever even hope to, because they have dedicated people and they have business plans. And, we are not trying to be, we're not trying to be those convention. There's some great ones out there. I think AttirondaCon up in
Hmm.
Saratoga Springs area. There's I think it's FlagCon, out in the Ithaca Finger Lakes area. Obviously, there's a bunch in, Jersey. There's one
Hmm.
Long Island Tabletop Convention,
Hmm.
which I've
Yep.
started going to every year. Fantastic convention, really fun. They put on three amazing, huge days of games and everything. They've got it down. That's not what we're going for. We're the local, Hudson Valley drive, half an hour. Well, granted, it's the Hudson Valley, so sometimes it's more like an
Could
hour,
be two.
but still, so yeah, sometimes two.
It's local.
Anything in that 2 hour
Yeah.
window is
Right. It's
local. Yeah,
local to us.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had so much fun, and you could definitely tell that it really felt like some local grassroots kind of con because everyone that was there had either been there every year or knew each other through someone or had connected on social media because there was a game that they had seen and started following them and then they were there. So it definitely had a very like close knit, more intimate feel than some of the other cons we've gone to. It was really enjoyable.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, we pride ourselves on having a lot of repeat attendance. I mean,
Yeah.
that's most of the people, and we've started having a nice little Discord group going where people, are trading, talking about 3D printing and stuff. So it's nice. It's a nice little gaming. Well, okay, large gaming group, but
It's a nice community. It definitely
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
How, so, speaking of guests, how do you choose the guests that you're having from year to year? I know you've had a lot of repeat, but what is the process for when you're doing guests or inviting people in that have games?
Yeah, so we opened it up to what we really wanted were local game designers because I personally just think that's a really cool
Hmm.
thing to have. The people who are making the games that happen to be local that can come and present their games. Get Gnomed, for example, just went to Kickstarter, very successful this past July and August, and we were thrilled to have him showcase his game last year. It was awesome, and you can see the evolution of it, and
Hmm.
that, to me, that's just really cool. So we put it out there, we put it out to the different communities. If you're interested in coming, we'd love to have you. This year we did do something that was completely new, which was we actually had a local game store come and be a vendor, and it was very successful. I think people really really liked it. They brought a good number of products. Yeah, I'm a big fan of gaming conventions. I go to probably far more than I should, and one of my favorite parts of it, besides meeting new people and playing games, is I like I like to buy the stuff. Like, there's
Hmm.
always interesting things there. So it was an element we wanted to bring. So that was the one guest, I guess, that we actually went out and solicited. We went out and said, okay, can you do this? Can you actually, come and vend at our little convention? And it was very successful. So I think in the future, that's probably how we're going to handle it. We're not going to, we don't necessarily seek out people, but we put out the word, and anyone who's interested, hey, look, it's 100 plus people,
Yeah.
they're there for gaming. If you're interested in coming and showing what you have, we'd love to have you.
The vendors were great. I mean, there's people that had 3D printed things. There was someone that had like beef jerky that was like D&D
Yes.
themed. There was the one, and I can't remember who it was, but it was 3D printed, almost like a stick figure. But the hands had little holes
Yes.
in them, so you could switch out if it was a knife or if it was a sword. It was really cool. It was just nice
Yeah.
to connect with other more local gaming companies or businesses and then individuals that painted and printed 3D minis. And then I think there was a photographer there. It was a really nice group of people to connect with.
Yeah, no, it's a great community, and it's you know it's amazing how many creators are in the Hudson Valley now. It's when I was growing up there, I mean, you could barely find people to play D&D with, no less, have creators. You really had to go down to the city for that. But no, it's great.
Awesome. Yeah, we really had a great time. What do you, was talking about the community. Have you seen a big shift and a change in like the world of D&D? I know you just said it was hard when you were growing up to find people that were interested in Dungeons and Dragons. Now it seems to be like very commonplace and everyone's a nerd now. Have you seen that shift over time with like AutoCon or maybe other cons that you've gone to as well?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. AutoCon, I would say, is still more old school. There is the board game contingent, and there are
Hmm.
a lot of people who go and they like to play board games, and I would say that's a relatively new thing. In the last 10, 15 years, you've seen people getting into not just Monopoly, but all these cool Euro games and everything, and that's definitely been a shift. On the role playing side, we've tried to run D&D Fifth Edition, for example, and it's frankly hasn't been that popular. People like the older school games. I ran this year. I ran a original basic D&D, original for me. 1980s red box D&D adventure. People loved it. We had a bunch of like that old school type feel
Hmm.
games, and people were craving something different. So I think a lot of gaming conventions do have that, and I'll shout out to Long Island Tabletop Convention because I feel like that it's similar. I had a there's a lot of old school role playing games. Like Goodman's game, DCC, Dungeon Crawl Classics. They had bunch of tables that were playing that, and it's great for a convention because if your character dies, who cares, right?
Hmm.
Like you were
Yeah.
just there to
Hmm.
have fun.
Right.
You don't have any investment in that, so
Yeah.
it's very different. So I think there are a lot more conventions that cater to that type of gamer, but then you can't deny that there has been a shift, probably through things like Critical Role and Stranger Things and all this, where people have come into the hobby that probably wouldn't have normally come into, are more, I would say, story focused,
Hmm.
more character driven. And I've seen that personally at conventions like Gen Con, where they're more about, I think the characters, more about the story. It's not com- as com- as com- it's not competitive. It's not. I know it's not supposed to be competitive, anyways, but
It's competitive.
it's sometimes competitive. Um, and I think there's a little more of that, like people that I would never have thought would be interested in role playing games, 30 years
Mhm.
ago. They've come into the fold, and it's universal, right? It's a story
Hmm.
mechanism. People have been telling stories around campfires
Yeah.
forever, right?
Forever.
So
Yeah.
it does have that universal appeal, and I think finally pop culture has made it acceptable
Hmm.
for people to try it.
Hmm.
And when they try it, they're like, "Wow, this is really fun," and they get into it. I mean, I know my regular group now that I DM for, uh, pretty much except for one guy, they're all newbies when they started. They had never played D&D. They had heard of it. They're like, "Oh, we want to try this thing." And now I love DMing for these people because I mean, they take crazy to a whole new level, and I'm like, I'm so proud. Like I have taught you the way. But it's great, and it's great seeing all these people coming in because it means the hobby's going to live, and that's
Yeah.
I don't think you could have said that back in the 90s.
Yeah.
It was kind of on a downward spiral. So.
When was your first exposure to role-playing games?
So it was 1985, and it was the Red Box edition. My best friend at the time, he's like, "Hey, I got this cool game. Do you want to try it?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not? I'll try it." And I played it, and he played the adventure, like the tutorial adventure, basically, like
Mhm.
right out of the box. We played it, and then the next day, summer vacation, and my parents actually took me down to Florida, so I had 3 months where I had no D&D, and I was hooked. As soon as I got back, I went out, bought my own basic set, and then every time I did enough chores to make enough money to buy the next box set, I went out and bought the next box set, and I've never looked back. I've been hooked since then.
Just that one time.
Yeah, it was
That's
just, he didn't really know what he was doing. It was,
Mhm.
he had played it once before. A friend of his got him into it. He happened to get the rule set and said, "Hey, let's try it." And it was not anything because we didn't even really have computer games
hmm.
back
Yeah.
then that were like this. So 85. Yeah, I think Wizardry might have come out right around that time, and that was like the first real role-playing esque game. And there were, what was it? I think it was just called Adventure. There were some text-based games,
Hmm.
but frankly, there wasn't much. And
Mhm.
so this was just completely new, and kind of revolutionary to
Yeah.
to a 10-year-old kid at the time. It was like, hey, this is amazing. And yeah, and obviously built on that since then, and now obviously they have computer games and everything, and it's
Hmm.
it's part of the culture. But back then it was pretty novel.
And as a 10-year-old, you just have your imagination is just wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Was
yeah,
it
absolutely.
the role playing that kind of captivated you, or was it just that it was so different from everything else that you had ever seen before?
It was definitely that it was different. I mean,
Yeah.
as a 10-year-old, you're not role playing very
Right.
much. It
Right.
was, oh, there's a monster. I'm going to fight it, and I need to
Hmm.
make sure I have I can do the most damage to it. And, um,
That's
you
how I
know,
play now.
yeah, it's, what? It's not a
Still
bad
kind of play
way,
that
frankly.
way.
Some things never change. Why
Exactly.
change something that
If it
works so
ain't broke.
perfectly, right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
We're all adults, but we sit around the table, whether it's on camera or like today, and we all just kind of revert back to, I don't know, being 12, maybe early teens,
Yep.
and we're just a bunch of nerdy kids and making up inside jokes and hanging out with our friends and being silly.
Yep. Oh yeah,
So,
it's the best. I mean, sometimes we'll get together. My old friends, we'll get together, and I swear we play out of a 5 hour session, 30 minutes of actual D&D, and the rest is just you know BSing and
yeah.
Yeah.
reminiscing. So,
Yeah. I
but
think
it's
that's
fun.
I think that's one of the difficult things when we sit at our table because most of us have known each other for decades. And sometimes we sit down and it's like we really have to reel it in because we can go off the rails quickly because we've just all known each other for so long and we have so much connection and it's just it can get a little silly sometimes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
But
think
that's
it's
that's
funny
the
you
great thing
said,
about that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
yeah. No, I think it's funny you said that, it took one time for you to realize how much you enjoyed the game, and then there was like that 3 month period where you're in anticipation to get back to it. And I think that's a very common story that for a lot of D&D players, all it takes is one time playing.
Mhm.
And you walk away from that first experience like, I need to do this again as soon as possible. And there's very few things that like I would say that I've done it once. I'm like, I need to do that tomorrow. Like I can play sports. I'm like, that was fun, and it satisfied my need for some for those 2 3 hours, and I could go without it for another week, another 2 weeks, another 3 weeks. But I tell this story often. The first time I played, I think I went home that night and I just sat down in front of my computer and Googled every single thing I could find. And then I went on
Yep.
YouTube and found any people that played D&D and D and any
Yep.
people that could explain the rules to me. And I spent hours on end trying to consume as much as I could as quickly as possible.
Yeah, shout out to the Dungeon Dudes for teaching Jonathan everything he knows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and
it kind of
that's
pulls you in.
yeah, and that's the nice thing is that's the great thing about living. I do always say we kind of live in a golden age for gaming in general, but particularly role playing games because you have YouTube, you
Mhm.
have all these internet sites with all this information. You can watch people play, to get a better sense of, oh, I could be doing that, and just finding people as well is much easier. And yeah, I mean, once you go down that rabbit hole of D&D podcasts, and oh my gosh, it just never ends.
Never. And you don't
Like
want
this
to,
one.
so thank you
You
for,
don't want it to.
yeah.
That's right. That's
You want
right.
as
That's
much
right.
as you can possibly consume.
That's right.
How often do you play D&D now? I know you said you still have a group, right?
I do. So well, I had been playing every week, so I there was a group of guys that got together after work, and we'd play every Thursday, like 3 hours. So it was, a good sized chunk, but you could get through a good amount of adventure. We did that for about 2 years, and we kind of the DM just kind of got burnt out after that long of running, and I think he's refreshed now. He wants to come back after the summer and run again. Um, I'm unfortunately work has been a little crazier, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. But that's my ideal is once a week, and I would like to eventually get back into that once a week game. But I run a somewhat monthly game myself. And then I have a group of friends, like long time from elementary school. In fact, the guy who introduced me to D&D, uh, him and other friends of ours, we
That's
get together
awesome.
probably, yeah, it's fun, and we get together like, yeah, not in the summertime. Summertime is a dead zone, but by we're planning on getting back together once a month, starting in September again. So, I get a good amount of games and a lot more, frankly, now than I used to, because I'm located now where I can easily get to
Mhm.
people who game, which is nice.
That's
Do you do
fantastic.
any online gaming or do you prefer the in-person?
I very much prefer the in person. There was a time when I did a lot of online only because I live nowhere near my old friends, and the only time I get to play with them is if we did it online. Um, Nowadays, we still do online. I'm running basically a GI Joe Transformer meets the X Files type game, and I do that online because you can do it for like 2 hours at a time, and I do that. I've been trying like every other week or so, um, but it's just not the same.
Hmm.
People they they don't have the attention. It's not like when you're at the table and you're focused in. I feel like especially after work, it's really really hard. People are just
Mhm.
not present. So yeah, we try it. I do it, but it's definitely not my favorite.
Yeah, I feel the same way that in person, there's nothing like in person.
Yeah,
Um,
agreed.
the amount of, and this isn't a good thing, but the amount of side conversations you can have in person versus, you know, fighting for that attention of the active speaker online. You can only really have one active speaker
Mhm.
online. You can't hear the person whispering in your ear to, do the thing that like is going to save our lives and not have the DM actually hear what you're saying. And just the, yeah, like you said, the immersion of being at a table.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love having terrain. I love having physical minis. I want to roll actual
Yeah.
dice.
yeah,
So all those things really just lend to that in-person experience. And like you say, I have a couple friends that live very far away, and so if I want to play, it's online because I'm not gonna,
yeah,
take a 3-hour flight to go play D
yeah,
and D for 2 hours. But in person, definitely a preference.
yeah. I agree. We have relatively successfully integrated a hybrid approach where, for example, we had a friend who just he couldn't make this a session, and we played once a month, so it was kind of a big deal because he wasn't feeling well. We're like, well, you know what, we can put a laptop up
Mm.
and have you come in. Was it the same experience for him? No, but it was something. And I have the group that I run now. The one person moved down to Florida. He's like, but I'd really like to still play. And so we I put up my iPad and he joins us. He joins us virtually, and it's it's a little better in that way because you still have the in person, and it's it's not as good for him. Obviously,
Hmm.
he's not able to have pizza with us. It's not it's not the same but it's better than when everybody's online,
Yeah.
I think.
Hmm.
So that distance thing, yeah, I get it. Like it it's a pain and you do what you gotta do. But it's not ideal.
I think that's one of the really awesome things about D&D or RPG games is that even like today, we sat down at a table with four other people that we had never met before and just started playing this game and started having conversations as our characters and like instantly connected and laughed. And it's like, all right, well, we hope you come down and we play with you again. This was a lot of fun. And you connect with them. And then even when we've done our brew crawls, I mean, there's just tables of random people. And by the end of the night, everyone's laughing and joking and they've connected with each other on social media. It's just a really awesome thing to easily connect with people and you instantly have something in common with your entire table.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's like you guys did the Dungeons and Draft
Yeah, our brew
uh,
crawls.
event, the
Yeah.
pub, yeah.
Mhm.
And so down in New York City, we have a similar thing where they run it. I think they run it quite often. I've been to a few of them, and it's great because these are complete strangers. But by the end of the night, you really are just like best friends.
Hmm.
And, we've actually asked some people to like join us for our regular games because we're like, oh, wow, you were really cool to play with. Hey,
Yeah.
if you have an opening, we'd love to do it. So it's nice. It's a great community. It really is.
Hmm.
And yeah, there's a few bad apples, but frankly, I have never met at any game that I've been to in the, you know, well, okay, tens or twenties of conventions or, one shot games that I've done. Never met anyone that I wouldn't like want to have a beer with.
Mhm.
Maybe they're not going to become my best bud, but they've all been very friendly, and I've been fortunate. Knock on wood. I'm going to jinx it now, but I've been very
And then you
fortunate.
met us.
It's like no, like I would love to play a game with you guys. Like it's everybody in the community. So I feel like it's one of those things where you're just not going to play it
Hmm.
if you're not that kind of
Hmm.
person, right? That
Yeah.
that's going to get along with people. So it may be self-selective, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's a nice it's quite nice.
Yeah, this community is really awesome. I think every podcast that we've done, every person that we've connected with on Instagram, social media, have all said the same thing, how welcoming the community is for D&D, for RPG games, how everyone's so generous with helping them out and connecting them with other people. It's just a really awesome group of individuals to be associated with.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you can absolutely see that at your con. You
Yeah.
walk in, and it was pouring that day,
It was
and
a
everyone's shoulder to
monsoon.
shoulder with each other,
It
just
was
like hanging
so
out like your
crazy.
best buds.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, thank goodness for that because yeah, we had not planned for that level of downpour, but everybody
That was
was super cool.
intense.
It
Tense
was.
collapse.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your wife was wonderful and welcoming, and I thought it was really great that like, I grew up in or and around restaurants and my family having restaurants. So there's a level of service and attention to detail that you give to customers. You remember people's names and what drinks they like. And that was absolutely the feel of when we walked in. She knew all of us. And we're, legends of the tabletop. Not many people know of us yet. And here we are going into AutoCon, and she's like, "Oh, you're Sarah, and here's your badge for Philomena, your character, and Jonathan. Here's Ren. This is your badge. Oh, hello." She knew all of us, and it was
Yeah.
so warm and welcoming, and also really impressive that it's this downpour of rain. You have more people than you've ever had at your con, and she knows each and every one of us. And I thought that was so special for her, for all of you to be able to do
Mhm.
for us. It really made us feel welcome.
Oh, yeah. She is amazing. I mean, she and she it she is, I will say, she is in sales. So
You could
she
tell.
that's a skill she's mastered. But she loves it. Like she loves meeting all the people, and she really enjoys when the previous people show up.
Mm.
She's like, oh hey, and she remembers them all, so it's good because that's like I said, I couldn't do it without her or any of the guys that that help out. The my buddies and their wives, they make AutoCon actually happen.
Yeah, you have a whole crew. I was really impressed.
Yeah, and they love doing it. Like they really, we after the second one, we kind of got together afterwards, and I was like, well, guys, we said we were going to do one more. We did it, and they're like, no, no, we have to keep going. This is fun because they really enjoy doing it, and it's it gives us something to talk about for a month while we're planning it.
Does your
Yeah.
wife play D&D with you at all?
It's funny, she really doesn't. She doesn't. She has during COVID. I made her because I, I was dying to play, and she was a good sport.
Yeah.
She's played with some of her friends, and her nephew really enjoys it. So over Christmas break when we went to visit, I ran a Christmas themed D&D adventure, and she joined for that. So she'll do it occasionally, and she's very proud that she has both her own character mini and her own dice. But yeah, I wouldn't say she's a regular player.
Sometimes our husbands rope us into these things and we just can't get away.
It's it's
I try. I try all the time, Fred, and I'm still
yeah,
here.
you know I
You like it.
I
I
I
do. I do.
I I have a good friend who she's into D&D as well, but she's more into board games,
Mm.
and her poor husband, he's just like, I guess this is what we're doing now. She's like, okay, we're going to PAX Unplugged, and I'm like, does Neil know that we're going to PAX Unplugged?
Well, if they see us, we'll be at PAX Unplugged and come say hello to us because
Awesome, we
I mean
will.
I
Oh,
have to say
awesome.
I was not 100% into D&D. My cousins had played it. I had watched them play it. It was always very intriguing to me. I always thought it was really awesome that these dudes, 14, 15, 16, sat around, made voices, rolled dice, and were just
Yep.
like having the time of their lives. But I didn't play it until probably the pandemic, and my cousin was in the middle of a campaign and pulled us in. And I was kind of bored after like the first hour or so, and I'd check out and start like, just daydreaming. But now I genuinely enjoy it, and I look forward. I do. I enjoy it. I have my little notebook. I have my characters. I have my favorite characters that I've played. I have a whole book with all my sheets. So I think once it pulls you in, you're stuck there for life.
You are. Can't get away now.
Can't get away now. I'm in too deep.
Yeah. I think she has more dice than I have at this point.
Oh yeah. I am absolutely a dice goblin.
That's how you, yeah.
Yeah, I can't help it.
That,
I see them sparkly. We go to PAX and I'm like,
right.
oh, what's this? More dice. Yes, please. Do you have a favorite character that you've played?
I do. Probably like a lot of people, I have kind of my quintessential character, which all characters have always been just kind of a version of this character.
Mm.
That's not true. I mean, I do enjoy playing other things, but when I was younger, I always played the spellcaster. I was almost always a wizard, and I finally and it was right as the Legend of, I'm gonna mispronounce this, but Dritz books came out by R.A. Salvatore,
Okay.
and it's the protagonist is a drow elf ranger, but he's good, and he escapes his homeland, and he becomes, a hero of the realm. And um, I thought, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Except for I don't want to be the good guy. I want to be the evil drow wizards that he escaped from. So my buddy, who still is kicking himself for letting me do this, let me create a drow elf necromancer. And he has been my absolute favorite character, um, ever since. And it, it, it's it's just, it was such a great character because D&D lets you play something that you just are not in real life. You're not evil in real life. It lets you play that, and it lets you be over the top the villain. And for me, I always thought, I always think that's a fun character concept because you can really get into it, and I am sometimes over the top in my quote unquote acting, and it gives me a perfect vehicle for that. So that is by far my favorite character of all time. And I've had many other characters, almost all of them blow up at some point in time. That's the thread that keeps them all together.
Yeah, I like it. I think that's one of the really cool things about playing D&D is that you get to fully immerse yourself in a totally fantasy world that's nothing like the real world that we're in. And that's part of the reason why most people, I think, like playing Dungeons and Dragons is like that escapism,
Yeah.
and you get to use your imagination and be someone that you're not.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
or that you wish to be.
Or that you wish to be.
Or that you could, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
That,
there's definitely that hero
yeah.
fulfillment
Mm.
as well. Yeah.
I think I often play a player that I wish I was, like the reserved Jonathan that I that I walk around with every day. And then I get on the table and I'm like, I wish I was the loudmouth, super confident,
Yes.
very charismatic, or like, very helpful person. I'm currently playing a cleric and I'm like, I wish I was a person that like helped people on a daily basis. I'm not that guy in real life. Jonathan in real life is very self-centered.
Hey, now you get to be the good guy in a fantasy game. So, that
Yeah,
counts,
I'm
doesn't it?
making
Villain
up for the
villain in
real
real
life.
life, good guy in
Good.
D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually play like a druid or a rogue. Those are my two things I've played the most. I love rogues. I When I was younger, I had this movie Opportunity Knocks with Dana Carvey, and he was a con man, and I just thought that was like,
Yes.
as a little kid, I thought that was the coolest job that you could, not really a job, but like coolest thing that you could do. And now I'm like, ooh, I
Yep.
could play a rogue that, is a little sneaky and maybe has a little bit of sleight of hand and commandeers things from other people. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Rogues are fun.
Yeah.
It's, something that you can't do in real life. So,
Yeah.
well,
I
you
wish I could,
you
but I
can,
can't.
but
There's usually some repercussions in real life for those kind of
yeah,
activities.
yeah, the consequences not great.
No,
Yeah.
it's not the same as when you're playing in a make-believe fantasy world.
Yeah,
You get
for
away with a
sure.
lot more.
I
Yes.
have a question on that, Fred. You DM.
Mhm.
I don't even know how I want to word this. Okay. You're a DM. Do you give your players consequences? Because a lot of people play and they're like, this is whatever. I can do whatever I want. Do you give them consequences for their actions?
So I do, and you're right. I have played in games where there are no consequences, and it's just a power fantasy.
Mhm.
Um, Look, I personally have no problem with that. Like, if that's what everybody wants to do and they're having fun, and I find particularly with younger people, the kids nowadays, like, 12, 13, 14-year olds, they like it. It's that video game
Mhm.
mentality. And hey, you know what? If it gets them into the hobby, you know what? I'm sure they will expand their interests and maybe try, different types of role playing down the line, but hey, they're having fun, right? That's what it's really about. So I do want to preface that by saying I don't have a problem with it. I know there are some purists who are like, that's not the way it's supposed to be, blah, blah, blah. I don't have a problem with that. I personally don't play that way, or I don't run that way. So a good example is the game I've been running. Previously, we just rebooted. It's now going to be horror themed, but previously it was Spelljammer,
Hmm.
and I had loved Spelljammer ever since the original second edition version came out, and I was like, I'm going to run this, and it was even before they actually put it out for fifth edition. I was like, they have a whole bunch of homebrew stuff, so I'm just going to run it, and some of the players, okay, one of the players did really stupid things. And I'm like, well, guess what? You are now in contact with the Mind Flayer hive
Hmm.
mind. And yeah, by the way, you're unconscious and you're probably going to be dead. And
I
they
like how
weren't.
you
They
said that
just,
as you laughed. That is such a classic DM. Like, you're probably gonna be dead.
and we worked out something where they basically they lost wisdom, they lost permanently wisdom for it though, because this is not something that you recover from very easily. Now if they got a wish spell they could get it back. There's way, especially in fifth edition there are
Hmm.
definitely ways, but even in older editions there were always ways to counteract some of this stuff. And and I do find that fifth edition leans less on the deadly, or not on the dead, less on the permanent side of
Mhm.
consequences. So for example, drains, ability drains, anything like that, it's almost always until a long rest, right? So it's different than rich basic D&D, which was oh, sorry, you lost a level. Well, you lost it, you have to go and regain that level the hard way.
Yeah.
um and I get it. I understand why they do it, because no one wants to have to regain that level. That being said, without consequences, I personally think the game isn't as fun. It's
Hmm.
not as much of it's not there's no game to it. In that case, it really is just a bunch of people sitting around a table telling stories.
Yeah.
And that's fine if that's what you want to do. I just like a little more game, and I like that element of being able to fail. And my players know if they really mess up, they will die, and that's it. It's game over. And I've had players die. I've had several TPKs
Wow.
in my career as
Okay.
a DM. And it's just it is. And but I always explain to my players, like, this is how I play. This is my style. Now, would I do that at a gaming cafe where I'm running, for a group of strangers? No, probably not. I would nerf it, because these are most likely people who haven't played before, and you're just trying to kind of give them a taste of it,
Hmm.
right? So I do think there's a time and place for it, but with my regular groups, yeah, that's just how I run it.
And that's part of the stress and the enjoyment of playing, right? You
Oh
have
yeah,
all
absolutely.
these
Yeah.
grandiose ideas or plans, and then it's like you're at the mercy of those dice, and you attempt to do something and you're ready to do it, and everyone's hoping that it's successful, and then you roll the dice and it is just a terrible roll, and it's like, well, I tried. Let's see what
Yeah.
comes around next time.
Absolutely. I mean, and I really do think that some of the best stories come from those failures. The stories that at least stick with me. We had one friend who jumped on the back of a Ramirez, something like that. Anyways, the giant centipede like
Hmm.
creature jumped on the back as it was going off a cliff, and he failed his dex save or whatever it was to try to jump off. And well, yeah, shoot, bye, gone. But we still talk about
Oh
that to
my
this day, because it was
God.
just epic. It was like, wow, okay,
What?
that happened. My character, more recently last year, I had a character that I had been running for 10 plus years. He blew himself up because he hit basically magic energy with his magic hammer. And the DM
Mm,
had put plenty of warnings
warnings,
that
right?
I did not make the connection. I just did. It's 100% my fault. I did not make the connection, and it's like people we still talk about it to this day because it was just an epic fail, and that was an epic fail on me, the player, because
Hmm.
that was 100%. Now, granted, I also failed my saving throw because otherwise I would have taken half damage, but
Right.
so it was an epic fail all around. But those to me really make the game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we've had a few of those where like a player attempts to climb a rock wall and has this whole plan and tells us what's going to happen, and then he rolls his dice and fails miserably and winds up just like going face first into this rock wall and pretending like he's climbing, but he's really just laying on the ground.
yep,
Definitely makes for a good story.
it does. It does.
Do you have plans to run some more D&D sessions at AutoCon coming up next year? Do you have any exciting things that you want to share with us about next year's AutoCon? I'm sure it'll be bigger than this year.
So we are planning for a an even bigger AutoCon. We're looking at possibly moving to the other pavilion because it's slightly larger. We just have to see if it's worth it. But we definitely think we expect even higher attendance. So it's going to be our fifth year. So we do kind of want to make it a little bit special. So we're still in the very early stages of deciding what that's going to be, but there'll probably be a little more razzle dazzle happening with it. In terms of the games, I think we are going to focus really on the things that have always worked. So, a lot of people come there for the board games. And
Mm,
so we're going to try to make a much more dedicated section for board games, have people running it, around that area so that people can join in easier, and then have the RPGs in a separate section, which will kind of hopefully deal with the noise levels as well. And then, yeah, I mean, so I ran a tournament this this time, and it was a classic dungeon crawl. I have my 3D printed dungeon tiles, and I ran them through it, and I gave points, and there were different points for different things, for defeating monsters or finding different treasure, or you blowing up the outhouse, different things. And the group that ran through it this year was very, very creative. They got a very high score in the shortest time that I've ever seen, because I play tested this a couple times just to make sure that it was gonna work, because nobody, for the most part, nobody runs tournament adventures
hmm.
anymore. It's not very common, at least in my experience. So I wanted to make sure, okay, is this actually going to be fun? And they had a blast. So we are going to be doing an even bigger tournament
Very
next
cool.
year. It's basically, can they beat their score, type of thing. So yes, stay tuned. We definitely, we have a lot of ideas. We have to. The one thing that my wife keeps telling me is, keep it simple, stupid, because
Yes.
it,
Yeah.
you know, have to be able to pull it off.
You can do it. I was going to ask you if money and logistics were not an issue, what is the most crazy idea that you would love to have at an AutoCon?
I personally would love to have a live dungeon type of setup where people could run through with the props and
Mm.
the set pieces and things. Like when I go to any of the conventions that have those types of things, I think they're fantastic, and the kids love them because it really immerses them into it, and I just think they're a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And it's probably not going to happen because the logistics to pull those things off are incredible, and you need a lot of people. But that would be if money and logistics were not a problem, that would be on the top of my list, I think.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that I would love that, but we'll make do with what we have.
You never know. One day.
Never
You
know.
never know. That's right.
I
That's
think that would
right.
be I think that would actually be really awesome. You know, like you could dress up as your character and do the full run through of the
Yeah.
dungeon. That would be really nice. Like choose your weapon. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah. It's
possibility.
it's fun. I mean, I'll never, I won't say never because,
Never know.
it's, you never know, but probably not for next year. But
Yeah, we'll maybe like
yeah,
10-year anniversary, maybe not 5.
that's right. That's a good 10-year anniversary
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I think
Exactly.
at 10 you'll have the
Exactly.
staff, you'll have the space.
That's right.
So
That's
where
right.
where is next year's AutoCon?
So we're probably going to keep it at James Beard Park. People like it because it's a local con. It's
Hmm.
not meant to be this professional, um, you know, like business type of thing. People like the outdoor. It works pretty well. We may need to upgrade the pavilion only because I think we may need a little more space. So that's the only thing I think that would change. We've talked about moving it indoors, but once you do the indoor thing, you still have to find space that
Hmm.
works for it. And it's the Hudson Valley doesn't have, they have like VFWs and those kind of places, but I don't know that that space would actually work, or if it's too small, or not configured the way
Hmm.
we would need it. So right now we're going to keep it where it is. We, down the road, if it grows, we'll see. Once you get into like hotel space, though, the problem is then it becomes, that's a whole another tier, and it's much more difficult to pull off. It costs a lot more money. So like the break even on something like that
Hmm.
becomes
Hmm.
much much more difficult for a staff that this is not our full-time job. This is not, it's not even a business. It's not even a side hustle really for us. It's like just
Yeah.
something that we do for fun. So I think we're going to keep it small. I've talked to my friends. They all, with the few exceptions who are like, no, we should book the Javits Center. Um, you know, um,
Year 10, that's gonna be your
Year
full like
10. That's right. That's it. Move over near Comic Con.
yeah, forget it.
AutoCon
No,
is
we got
coming.
AutoCon. It'll be
Yeah.
like PAX, Gen Con, Gary Con, AutoCon. Like you'll be in the
AutoCon.
same atmosphere.
Yeah. So not, I think generally though, we're all on the same page. That's really not what we want. We want a local convention, just grow the community. And, one of the things that I am focused on going into the fall is not just planning for the next AutoCon, but it's really promoting the community itself
Hmm.
in the area. So, we've been working with the CouncilCon folks up in Schenectady, trying to do like cross promotion, like, hey, that's not that far away. You should go up, check that out. ShireCon. Our painting guy just went to WGG. It's the Westchester Gaming Convention. I think it's in Peekskill, or that area. So we're trying to do a lot more like, hey, look at all these cool gaming
Mhm.
things going on, and then like, hey, do you want to get together and game? Here's some people that might be interested. So doing a lot more of that community connection is what I would personally what I would like to see.
Yeah, I think the community is definitely something that you feel that we felt when we were at AutoCon, and it just kind of lends itself into the overall feeling of community that is in this TTRPG RPG space that we're in. Everyone is super friendly, welcoming, encouraging. Like if you don't know how to play D&D, just say so, and there is a dozen or so people that have dice on them that are ready to teach you. It's a
Oh
really
yeah.
special place. Well, Fred, Jonathan and I are so grateful that you took an hour out of your day to
Yeah.
chat with
Thank
us
you.
about about AutoCon. Like we said earlier, it was in its 4th year. We're going into the 5th year in 2026.
Yep.
And why don't you give yourself a little shout out where everyone can find you on social media, and then I'm going to do a quick little rapid fire questions for you as well.
All right. No, thank you. It's been my pleasure. We were really happy that you could make it to AutoCon this year, and you can find out more about AutoCon, OTTOCON.org. We have all of our links right there. We will probably put out the new dates in October, and yeah, let's go for it. I'm ready for the
Let's
questions.
go. We'll be at AutoCon definitely next year. We had a blast this
Yeah.
year. So
Awesome.
before we wrap up the podcast officially,
Sure.
I have a little rapid fire questions that we do for our guest. They're kind of random, kind of maybe D&D based, but if you're ready, we'll get started.
Sure.
All right. So dice jail, is it a myth or is it mandatory?
Uh, that's definitely a myth in my book.
Okay. And if your life had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, if my life had a theme song, um, probably the theme song from Pinky and the Brain. Not gonna say which one I am, but
That's actually amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so what is weirdest thing you believed in as a kid? Mine, quicksand. I really thought quicksand was something happening locally here in the Hudson Valley.
I I just read something about things that like 90s kids, 80s and 90s kids were trained for that was totally not worth it, and quicksand was right up there.
Why was
No, for
quicksand?
me,
Why?
because every show that you watched had quicksand.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
and you
true.
think back to it and it's true. It's
70s,
like
80s,
quicksand
yeah,
was
always.
everywhere. Yeah. It's like, no, I've literally never come across quicksand. Um, Spiders, on the other hand, are a much bigger
Ooh,
threat than I was led to believe. Um,
yeah, that's
but
true.
oh my gosh. Yeah, in terms of for me, weird things that I believed in, probably a lot, but I probably like eating, like uh just nutrition
Mhm.
stuff. I think that I really thought that you know I, I was, for some reason I thought that corn was terrible for you, so I never ate corn. My wife's always like, "Why won't you eat corn? It's so weird." I'm like, because somebody told me
Yeah.
in, I don't know, like junior high or something, that, oh, corn, it's terrible for you. It's just sugar. Well, yeah, if you process it into sugar. So
And then it stuck
I'll
with
go with
you.
that. It just
Yeah.
stuck with me.
As an adult, I might still be a little cautious of quicksand now and then. But
You never know. You never know.
you never know. You never know. Pineapple on pizza. Is it criminal or is it genius?
Oh God, that's criminal.
Thank you. Thank you.
100%.
You know what? You can come back anytime you want, Fred. You can sit on our table. You are a true friend of Legends of the Tabletop.
Or just Sarah. Because I'm putting pineapple on pizza every time I can.
Oh,
See,
God, no.
this is why I always order the pizza, just in case.
Yes.
Yeah,
People
don't invite me
cannot be
over and let me
trusted.
bring pizza because there will be pineapple and ham on it.
If you come over and play D&D, I guarantee you one pizza will have pineapple, but one will be a traditional pie.
Perfect.
You're
That,
you're
you know what?
safe.
Hey, to each his own.
It's
Jonathan,
true.
you can have your pie. You can have your weird monstrosity. That's fine.
Criminal. Criminal. There should be jail. That is where dice jail. It should be jail for people. Like, come on.
Well,
That's
I would say
consequences.
this.
There
I'm
should
gonna.
be.
This is the caveat. You know,
Consequences.
you can only make fun of the person that is. You cannot make fun of the person that's DMing that night. So if
Oh,
I'm
okay.
DMing, pineapple's a genius idea. But if
Yeah,
Fred's
whatever you want
DMing,
on your
then yeah,
pizza.
it's terrible.
That's
That,
fine.
you
Whatever
know,
makes the DM happy.
that is a true corollary. Yes, absolutely.
A pro tip for everyone that's watching.
Yep.
If your DM wants pineapple pizza, get him pineapple pizza.
Yeah.
It'll work out better for you. Well, again, Fred, thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure. We enjoyed it. It's been great to talk to you again and kind of catch up since we saw you last in June at the AutoCon. So everyone be sure again to give Fred AutoCon a follow. It is at AutoCon on Instagram and it is autocon.org on the interweb. So make sure you sign up for their mailing list, check out their website for upcoming dates for next year's events. And while you are surfing the webs, don't forget to head over to eldridge-foundry.com. They are good friends of ours. Use cheat code cheesebags15 to save 15% on your order at eldridge-foundry.com. And also, while you're there, we have Wizardly Tees, who has generously provided all of us legends with some really amazing t-shirts, all nerdy themed. You can head over to wizardlytees.shop.store. Wow, I'm doing great today. Wizardly Tees. Check them out. You can use our cheat code cheesebags to save 20% on your order. And that wraps up another episode of The Parking Lot. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Legends of the Tabletop. Ring that bell, subscribe, do all the things, and come back next time for another episode of The Parking Lot. Thank you all for watching. That wraps up another episode. Good night, everyone. Stay fresh, cheese bags.